So Claire, this is how this is gonna work. Y'all are gonna ask a question once you get up in line. Once you get up in line, no one's in line. And Claire is going to repeat the question for Stan, because Stan doesn't hear so good over this PA system. But you want to do the honors? Why don't you do the honors? Should she do the honors, or y'all heard enough of me, right?
Keep your questions easy. No, I'm only kidding. Make them as tough as you want, because I'll answer them wrong anyway.
All right, two really fast questions. First off, where's your favorite place to get a hot dog in New York? Because I need a few more places to eat when I go down there to visit.
My favorite restaurant used to be a place, and they cut it called Nino's, and they went out of business, I learned years ago. So I don't know what to recommend, but when you come to Los Angeles, I can always tell you a few good places.
Alrighty, and
I have a delicatessen called Nate Now, and the food may not be good, but it's inexpensive.
And second question?
What were you doing in The Stand? The movie The Stand. I still have yet to figure that out.
What are we doing? Oh, the Stand movie. The movie about me, my documentary. Well, they're trying to decide whether to give it an Academy Award or a Nobel Peace Prize. Both, I like your attitude. Actually, we made this documentary, which embarrasses the hell out of me, but they insisted on doing it. And it's the story of my life, which everybody knows anyway, but there are a lot of shots of my wife in there, which most people haven't seen. And that dresses up the movie a little. And I don't know, it's going to probably play on TV, and it'll play on the internet, and in some selected theaters. See, people always say, it'll be in some selected theaters, which means they couldn't get it into most of the theaters. But you'll see it advertised pretty soon, and if you have nothing better to do and you want to see something about me you didn't know, but my life has been an open book. I don't even know what questions you could ask. Everybody knows more about me than I know. It's getting embarrassing.
Is there anything that we don't know, Stan?
No. What you see is what you get, so you might as well leave now.
That's part of the appeal.
Why am I sitting down?
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Check, mic check. First of all, thank you for coming here to Wizard World, Philadelphia. I'm with the Absolution Network, and we named a project that you did the Anime of the Year in 2010, that being Hero Man. I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about your involvement in the Hero Man franchise and when we could possibly see it dubbed here in America.
See, not only does she dress up the place beautifully, but I don't hear as well as I used to. So she tells me what the hell it is that you said. So keep your questions short, because she doesn't have a good memory.
It's a good job, though.
What's the Hero Man? In 2010, I did, what is it, wait, Max? Oh, the Japanese one. There's so many things. I did a book in Japanese called Hero Man, and they were going to make an animated cartoon about it. I think they're still thinking about it. So in the next few years, if you see a Japanese animated cartoon, you can say, oh yeah, that's the one Stan didn't remember anything about at the convention.
All right. How about you over here?
Out of all the heroes that you created, which one do you relate to in real life?
Oh, I relate to all of them because there's a little bit of all of them in me. The grandeur and the wonder and the power and the charisma. I mean, it must be very obvious. I think I'm going to leave now because I see there are a few empty seats in the audience. I never speak to an audience where there are any empty seats. So. Yeah, next time I'd like you to do better. Okay.
Stan, you created Iron Man. You based him off of Howard Hughes, is that correct?
That is correct.
So,
Absolutely correct.
does that liken you to Howard Hughes?
Does it make me like Howard Hughes? Well, I have news for you, and I hate to admit this. Howard Hughes was quite a bit wealthier than I am. And he was also an inventive genius and an adventurer. Now, I'm sure I would be an adventurer if I had a chance to adventure, but I keep so busy going to comic book adventures.
All right, let's go to this question over here.
Yes, hi Stan, how are you?
You'll be always known as this question over here.
That's fine, that's fine.
Doesn't he or she have an identity?
Yes,
A fine thing.
I guess my first question is,
Say he.
I have two questions, and one for you, Claire, as well. But Stan, what is your secret sauce? How is it possible that you, after so many years, are still so powerful, have so much energy, and just keep it going? I wish I had half your energy, sir.
I heard that. See, whenever somebody says something flattering, I hear every word. No, it's funny. Some voices are on a range that I can understand. Some of them, when they talk into the mic, it sounds like good. I hear the sound, but I don't know what's being said. So anyway, I don't know about the energy bit, but what it is, I love what I do. I love being with the fans. I love writing comics. I love doing movies. I love being with... So, how could you not be having a good time when you're with the kind of people that you're crazy about, and they're all as enthusiastic as you are about all the things that are going on, whether it's movies or television or comic books or the internet. It's all so exciting that, I don't know, it's not like you're working. I feel like I'm playing all the time, especially when you're on the stage with someone like this.
You mentioned the internet. How has technology changed the process of creating? Has it changed anything for you, or?
Well, I don't think technology has created the process of creating. What it's done, it's allowed the things you create to be presented in so much a more exciting way. Now, for example, we could not have done the Avengers movie 20 years ago. There's no way all those things could have been seen on the screen. So technology is making entertainment more exciting. And I might add, speaking of entertainment, I'm going to get serious for 1 minute, which is not typical of me. Most of my life, my early life, I was a little bit embarrassed because I wrote comics, because I felt, you know, there are doctors treating people, and there are people building buildings and bridges and flying airplanes, and I'm writing these stupid comics. And little by little, as the days and the years went by, and people would say, gee, I enjoyed this story, or I love that story, blah, blah, blah. And I began to realize that entertainment is one of the most important things in people's lives. Most people do not live. Thank you.
Well, sir, I just wanted to say you are absolutely an inspiration for me, and hats off to you, and thank you so much for being you. And I wanted to maybe everybody give him a round of applause.
is important, and it fills a needed spot in people's lives. So all of you who are involved with comics and movies and television, you're all part of something that's very big and meaningful and entertaining, and thank you for letting me be a part of it too.
And just really quickly, Claire, I just wanted to know, I mean, I'm such a big fan. What do you do that makes you so hot?
I stand next to Stan. All right, let's go over here, sir.
I gave the hug on your behalf.
That's right. It was a by proxy hug. Let's go here.
Hey Stan, question. I think Dr. Doom is the greatest villain ever. How did you think him up?
Can you repeat that for me?
Sure. A little bit about where did Dr. Doom come from?
Dr. Strange? The only doctor I know is Dr. Strange.
Doom!
Did I miss something?
Doom from Fantastic Four.
Doctor who? Doom?
Yeah.
Is there a Dr. Doom? Max, come in. This guy is my walking encyclopedia. What? Oh, Dr. Doom! I was just teasing you. I like to watch her look confused. Well, what was the question about Dr. Doom? Hey, another thing. I don't know if it's my hearing, but it sounds to me like every question is coming from over there. Is that the case? Are any of them coming?
This one
It
was
came
over
from
here.
there?
Yes.
And I'm looking that way. All right. Dr. Doom, what about him? Tell you about him? Okay. Dr. Doom has long been my favorite villain. First of all, I like his name. How can you beat a guy called Dr. Doom? And the thing I like about him, he is the king of his own country, Latveria. Now, I'm very proud of Latveria because I made up that name, and I swear it sounds like a real country, doesn't it? I've had people say, how do I buy a ticket to Latveria? It sounds so real. But the big thing about Dr. Doom, being a king, if he comes here to America and he commits a crime, he's got diplomatic immunity. We can't arrest him. Now, you show me any other villain that can't be arrested because he's got diplomatic immunity. And that's why Marvel has always led the pack. We have different victims. That's why I like Dr. Doom. He's got a cool man. His whole armor, I mean, he's great looking. I don't get any credit for that. Kirby dreamed that up. He really drew a great Dr. Doom.
Hello. This time we're going over here, yep.
Hello, Stan. I got one quick question. How long did it take for you to realize that Spider-Man was going to be huge?
As soon as the fan mail started coming in, and as soon as the sales figures came in. You know, my publisher didn't want to do Spider-Man at all. He thought it was the worst name for a book you could ever get. He said, people hate spiders. You can't call the hero Spider-Man. So that's the reason I stuck Spider-Man into Amazing Fantasy when we introduced it. Because we were going to kill the Amazing Fantasy book. When you're going to kill a book, nobody cares what you put in the last issue. The book is going to die anyway. So to get it out of my system, I threw Spider-Man in there. And about a month or two later, when the sales figures came in, my publisher said, you know, Stan, that character Spider-Man of yours that we both liked so much, why don't you make it a series? And that's how a legend was born.
Okay, yes?
Thank you for coming, Stan.
You're welcome.
Is there a Marvel comic or Marvel character that you want to see as a major motion picture that other people at Marvel wish you would just let go of?
Now, everybody at Marvel wants to do them all. The two I can't wait for, though, are Doctor Strange and Black Panther. And you'll be seeing them before you know it. Oh, and also Ant-Man is in the works. The thing is, they think that's an inexpensive one. I mean, the guy is only that big. How much film will it need?
All right, let's go over here.
I just wanted to say thank you for creating Peter Parker, Stanley, because I think, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't grow up with Peter Parker. Just the geeky guy who could make it. So thank you very much. And
Yeah, I didn't either. I kind of like Peter Parker, and the thing I liked about him was what my publisher hated. He not only hated the idea of calling him Spider-Man, but he said you can't have a hero who's a geek and who isn't that popular, and he's not that great looking, and girls don't like him. Stan, don't you know what a hero is? And he argued with me all the time, until the sales figures. And he said, we need more geek heroes.
And my question is just real quick. Which Spider-Man villain that you didn't create do you think, damn, I just wish I created him?
I can't think of any that I didn't create. If you name them,
Thank you.
Thank you, and Excelsior, Stan.
Excelsior.
Excelsior. Hey, you all know what that means? It's from an old English saying, which means, and it's very apropos, it means upward and onward to greater glory. What could be better, huh?
And do you have a definition for hero?
Stanley.
Good answer.
No, I think a hero is anybody who just does something good when he's faced with a choice. Am I going to go on the dark side, or will I go on the right side and do? When you have a choice between the good and the bad, you pick the good, you're a hero. And it doesn't matter if you're a nurse working in a hospital, if you're a prize fighter, if you're a scientist, or if you're the President of the United States. The one who does things that are good is a hero. The ones who does things that are bad, read DC Comics. I'm only kidding.
All right. Let's go over here now.
Hi, Stan. I was wondering what your thoughts were on seeing two of your most popular creations go at it in Avengers vs. X-Men.
Oh, it's great. I used to do that in the comic books all the time. I'd have the Hulk fight Iron Man, or Spider-Man fight the Fantastic Four, or I fight her, it doesn't matter. It's always fun when heroes fight each other, and of course I did it out of laziness. A new book would be, you know, these books were published every month, and we had, I don't know, 8 or 10 or 15 of them a month, whatever it was. It was a little hard to dream up a new villain all the time. So being a lazy guy, I'd say, well, I can't think of a villain right now, so I'll just let a couple of the heroes fight each other. You can always find an excuse, and that's how it happened. And all of a sudden, I realized people like that. It's kind of fun. The thing that I get very often, a fan will come up and say, in great seriousness, who would win if the Hulk fought Thor? And I always would say it depends on who's writing the story. But people seem to love that business of heroes fighting each other, and who am I to go against what people want, right?
Exactly. All right, let's go over here.
Stan, I want to ask, what was it like working with Jack Kirby during the early days of Marvel?
Oh, it was was great. Jack was so good. What he was an artist, but he was also a story writer with pictures. He and I would discuss what the story should be, whether it was for Thor or the Fantastic Four or whatever book he was working on. And we just talk, either I'd write out a little outline or we would just talk about it for a couple minutes. You know, I might say something like, in the next Fantastic Four, why don't we have Dr. Doom kidnap Sue Storm and he takes her to Latveria and the Fantastic Four have to rescue her. And here's how they'll rescue her. And that would be all I'd say. Now he had to fill up 22 pages with just that. And he made up most of the little incidents. And then he would send me the 22 pages of artwork with all those drawings beautifully done in pencil. And I would put in all the dialogue balloons and the captions and the sound effects. I'd write them all in. And looking at the drawings that he did, it made it such fun for me to do the dialogue. Because if I'd see a face like this, I knew the guy was scared. So it was easy for me to put in some masterful bit of dialogue like, and then the book would go out. So anyway, it was a great collaboration, but I was lucky. All the artists at Marvel were the same way. They were all visual storytellers. Gene Colan, Steve Ditko, John Romita, Bill Payne, John Huston. They were the greatest. They made me look good. That's why I loved them.
Was Captain America the first character you and Jack Kirby collaborated on?
It was the first one I collaborated with them on, but I did not create Captain America. That was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. And when I came to work there, that was the one superhero script they had that meant anything. And I was given that to write after a few months. So it was wonderful, because I had read it as a civilian. And now I'm working in the place and I'm writing the stories and working with Jack. So that was terrific. But that was the first one I worked on.
Okay, let's go over here.
Hi, Stan.
That's not literally true. We're not going over there. What she means is, I don't want you to think you're leaving the stage.
I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I think I speak for a lot of people here when I say I try to be half the man Peter Parker is. And I want to know from you, what do you think it is about Peter that makes people love him and want to be with him or sympathize with him?
Well, you're going to reduce that to 10 words. Oh, I guess the fact that Peter Parker is not your typical hero. He has problems. He worries about money. He always has love problems, or at least he did when I wrote him. And he's a guy who he's tortured in many ways. He doesn't always want to be a superhero, but it has been thrust on him. And I think people can relate. See, when I was writing him, I had everything go wrong. In one story, he had an ingrown toenail, so it was tough for him to run around. And whatever I could think of to make things difficult for him. And the thing I love best, there'd be a time when he had an old Aunt May, and she was always ill and half dying. And there'd be a story where Aunt May needed a medicine desperately, or she expired. Now, the medicine was at a pharmacy at that side of town. But at the same time, whoever the supervillain was is about to destroy half the city on that side of town. And Peter can only go to one place at a time. So does he go to save his Aunt May, or does he go to save the city? And how do we get him out of that dilemma? So I think by doing that sort of thing a lot in the stories, it made people relate to him. Because most people have, well, they don't have to save the city maybe, but we've always got little serious problems like, should I go to the movies with her, or should I go to work this afternoon? It's hard to decide what to do.
Okay.
That was a kind of strange answer. I don't know if I really answered the question. They all forgot the question by now anyway.
Yes?
Hi, you've always been my superhero?
I'm very flattered. I don't really have a favorite. I love them all. And whichever one I was writing at the moment, that was my favorite at the time. But it's like asking, who's your favorite child? Or, you know, you love all your children. Well, of course, my favorite person up here on the stand is this young lady. There's no doubt about that. But I'll be happy to shake your hand at any time.
Yes?
If you could ask Conan the Barbarian one question, what would it be?
This is a picture of Stan thinking.
Why did you stop having Schwarzenegger play your role? Because he's the only guy that did it right.
Good answer, I like it. All right, how about you?
Who's your favorite villain?
Dr. Doom, I mentioned that earlier.
Okay, we have time for one more question. I'm so sorry, guys.
Just getting started.
We just got the sign. Time's up. I know. Don't shoot the messenger. It's her, not me. Just kidding. All right. Yes.
Hi, Stan. It's a pleasure to ask a question. I enjoy looking out for you in all the Marvel movies, but I'm just curious, which is your favorite cameo in the Marvel movies?
Oh, I couldn't. Can you imagine if I mentioned one of them and then the directors or the producers of any of the other? Oh, so that was your favorite. What about the one I did? Oh no, they're all my favorites, every single one. Actually, I do love them. Marvel movies, to me, they're fun, and that's what a movie should be. You sit in the audience, you watch them. Oh, I'll admit they're not the Green Lantern, but they're the best we can do.
Okay, good news. We have time for a few more questions, so let's go over here.
Stan, I love you. I just wanted to ask you, when you created all these iconic characters so long ago, which one did you expect to have longevity today, Stan?
Which one did I expect? But I heard the beginning. I didn't hear the beginning. In all honesty, I didn't dream that any of them would have the longevity they have. In those days, we just hoped that the books would sell for a while, we would keep our jobs and be able to pay the rent. In a million years, we couldn't have thought that one day I'd be addressing a whole group of people about them, and there'd be movies, and there'd be articles in the paper. We would have thought we were dreaming. It couldn't have happened.
Thanks for everything.
Hello, Stan. You're doing a very good job with the movies and in the comic books. I have a two-part question. Of the 70s Spider-Man live actions, do you remember the one with the transformable robot and the jet car? Will that ever be English dubbed?
I heard Spider-Man live action. This one I don't get. Max, are you here? Did you hear that question? Okay, you know, you're going back behind me. But I don't know, can you clarify the question a little bit?
In the 70s.
Yeah.
Live action.
Wait, what live action series in the 70s?
Well, you dubbed it Spider Ninja.
Was that a Japanese one?
Yes.
I don't remember any American Spider Ninja. Was there one? Do you know, Max? Max knows everything. Huh? Now I don't hear you. Come here, please. since you're in, is he over there? I could swear the voice was coming from somebody there playing tricks on me. Anyway, the Japanese did a whole series of Spider-Man movies, television shows. And I've seen them, and they were very well done, but there's one thing about them that I never could get over. Everyone was the same. It had the same formula. Here's how it opened up. Peter Parker was wandering along somewhere, and suddenly he'd see a very evil giant robot who was doing bad things. The robot was about 30 feet high, and it was destroying something. So Peter would run somewhere, and all of a sudden another robot would rise out of the ground, and that was Peter's, that was Spider-Man's. He would jump into that robot, and then the two robots would fight, and in the end, Spider-Man's robot beat the evil one, and that was the story. Next week, there was another episode. Peter Parker is walking along somewhere. I swear, they were all the same formula. There was always a bad robot. Peter would get into his good robot, and he'd fight the bad one. But what I don't understand is, what was the question?
I guess. Okay, will it ever be English dubbed on DVD for the American audience?
I don't know if he would necessarily know, but if it is, I bet we could get him to put it on his website, therealstanlee.com. That would be some place you can check back for that answer. Also, if you guys don't know about his YouTube channel, World of Heroes, you need to subscribe because there's going to be all sorts of good stuff on there. And Twitter, The Real Stan Lee. And here is the gentleman who would like to shake your hand.
Thank you very much. Nice to have a real life day.
He's awesome.
There you go. By the way, thank you so much. She's got all my little websites written here, and I think she was told, don't forget to mention this. Did you forget any of
But
them?
I subscribe, so I imagine most of these people are just in case.
Wait a minute, to be a good salesman.
Yes.
You subscribe to what?
Stan, let me tell you, I subscribe to your YouTube channel, World of Heroes.
And what else?
And I also follow you on Twitter, @TheRealStanLee.
Anything else? I think you're
Well, sometimes if I'm desperate for some Stan-isms, or need to get my Stan fill, I go to therealstanlee.com.
Should we pause a minute to give them time to make notes?
I think I got it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.